Welcome to your SQF training at Niagara Plainfield. Today we will be going over some important food safety, quality, and manufacturing guidelines required for you to start working. Pay attention closely. This information will be a vital part of your job and your safety. Module 1. Food Safety. Food safety is a large part of our job here at Niagara. Food safety is the conditions and practices under which food and beverages are manufactured to prevent contamination. These standards are set by the FDA, who regulates our facility. We uphold this by making sure our product does not get contaminated by food safety hazards. There are 3 categories of food safety hazards: physical, such as wood or plastic; chemical, such as oil or pesticides; and microbiological, such as salmonella or E. coli. To put these precautions in place, we use a system called HACCP. HACCP stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points. HACCP is important because it allows us to produce safe products for our customers and families. It identifies food safety hazards in production, and it helps control food safety hazards. So, how does HACCP work? Well, there are 7 principal steps of HACCP as follows. 1. Conduct a hazard analysis. Look for any potential spots that could compromise the safety of the product. 2. Determine the critical control points, or CCPs. Identify the area where the hazard is or would be. 3. Establish critical control limits. Specify what is safe and what is not safe for the area. 4. Plan CCP monitoring requirements. Make sure there is something in place for the control limits and make sure it will be accurate. 5. Establish corrective actions. Set everything up so that the CCP can be monitored and controlled and everyone is aware of the hazard. 6. Develop procedures for verifying that HACCP is working. Double check that your procedures are accurate for combating the hazard. 7. Determine record-keeping procedures. Find a good way to keep track of the hazard levels and make sure that everything is within specifications. Here we have 0 CCPs, so you won't need to identify or test any. However, you are still responsible for making sure our product is produced safely, as everyone who works here is. It is everyone's responsibility to follow all standard operating procedures, or SOPs, fill out all paperwork correctly and neatly, and report any food safety concerns to QA or a supervisor. Module 2. Food Quality. Now that we've learned about food safety, we can talk about food quality. Food safety is making sure all products are safe for consumption. Food quality is how we cater to our customers and the consumers of our product based on taste, smell, and packaging, and it is determined by their expectations. Much like food safety, food quality requires predetermined points where the product could be compromised. For safety, there are CCPs, and for quality, there are CQPs, or critical quality points. These are determined by the same HACCP 7-step process and must be monitored just like the CCPs. Here at Niagara Plainfield, we have 4 CQPs. The 4 CQPs are the reverse osmosis, or RO tanks, where we use a high-pressure pump to increase pressure and force the water across a semi-permeable membrane to purify incoming water. The next CQP is the ozone generator, where ozone is injected into the water to kill any bacteria and eliminate impurities. The next CQP is the bottle date code application. This prints information about when the water expires, what time of day the water was bottled, and on what production line. This is a CQP because if the customer cannot read or identify this information and there is an issue with the product, it will be hard to track down the cause of the problem. The last CQP is spring water receiving. When we receive a spring water truck delivery, we must test TDS, bacteria, coliform, pH, turbidity, and chlorine levels. The FDA has a product of identity standard that applies to both purified and spring water. If you notice a quality problem or a test outside of critical limits, notify your supervisor or QA immediately. They will then determine what to do with the product and what corrective actions need to be taken. Module 3. Safe Quality Food. Now that we know about food safety and food quality, we will learn about Safe Quality Food, or SQF. SQF is a certification that many of our customers, such as Walmart, Costco, and Publix, require us to have. Our SQF certification exceeds FDA standards. It is a set of requirements that is used to measure the effectiveness of both the food safety plan and the food quality plan, and it is everyone's job to make sure these plans are followed. All of our Niagara plants are currently SQF certified and are all audited once a year. Auditors may come in and ask you questions about SQF, such as, what does SQF mean? Does Niagara have any CCPs or CQPs? What are the CQPs? What is your job? How do you impact food safety and quality? Who is our SQF practitioner? The SQF audit is an unannounced annual audit that happens in the fall, usually between August and October. Around this time, QA and your supervisors will be reminding you of all the things we will cover today, so the more you remember, the better. Module 4, Supporting Policies. Before starting work, there are a few policies you need to know about. The first is the Management Responsibility Policy. It is a formal commitment to producing a safe, high-quality product, and it is posted on the information board here. The next policy is the Hold Policy. It states that any finished product or raw material that does not meet our specifications must be placed on hold. It is the responsibility of all team members to identify defective or problematic product and report it to the QA team. All holds must be properly segregated and identified. The last policy we will discuss is the Product Release Policy. It states that shift supervisors are responsible for signing off and releasing finished product for shipment. QA and production supervisors must communicate and cross-check to verify data at the end of each shift. Module 5, Good Manufacturing Practices. Good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, are procedures, practices, and facility requirements that protect the product by minimizing the introduction of hazards. They are necessary to maintaining a safe and sanitary manufacturing environment. At Niagara, our GMP policy exceeds both the FDA and SQF requirements. So what are our good manufacturing practices? Team members must dress in a clean Niagara uniform shirt, pants without holes, capris, or knee-length shorts. Your pants should provide sufficient protection for typical job duties. Shoes must be closed-toed, closed-heel, flat-footed, and have a rubber sole. No sandals or high heels should be worn. Jackets can be worn on the floor, but do not hang them on line equipment. If you need to remove your jacket, please put it on a designated coat rack or in your locker. Only Niagara baseball caps and beanies are allowed to be worn, and you must wear a hairnet underneath them. Personal items and jewelry are prohibited on the production floor. This means no earrings, necklaces, bracelets, watches, rings, etc. The exceptions to this rule are plain wedding bands, medical bracelets, lanyards, and if you wear a smart or fitness watch, you may wear it below your waist. There are to be no pens with removable caps on the floor. If you choose to attach a pen to your clothes, it must be attached below the waist, as well as any tools. Your fingernails should be kept neatly trimmed and clean. Nail polish and artificial nails, even with clear nail polish, are not allowed. Fake eyelashes are also not permitted. There should be no food or drinks on the production line, including gum, mints, and any kind of tobacco. There should be no spitting anywhere on the production floor and no blowing into bottles. No personal medication is allowed inside the Niagara facility. You must notify your supervisor of any prescribed medicine and must be able to safely operate all machinery. You must also notify your supervisor of any contagious diseases as well as any cuts or infections. If you get a minor injury on the job, such as a paper cut or small scrape, there's a first aid kit located outside the break room. If you need to wear a bandage, blue is the only permitted color bandage on the floor. Hands must be washed for at least 20 seconds and washed frequently. You should wash your hands before starting work, before putting on gloves, before handling any product or food contact packaging materials. You should wash your hands after eating, drinking, smoking, and after any break or lunch period, after visiting the restroom, after sneezing, coughing, or blowing your nose, after touching your face or hair, and anytime you re-enter the production floor or contaminate your hands. You must dry your hands with a disposable towel or an air dryer. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is for the protection of our product and our employees. Everyone who steps foot on the production floor is required to wear ear protection, safety or prescription glasses, and a hairnet, even if you have no hair. Full-time employees wear white hairnets. New hires wear yellow hairnets until 90 days after they've started work, and visitors wear blue hairnets. As previously mentioned, hairnets must be worn under approved beanies and hats as well. If you have facial hair that grows below your lip line, you are also required to wear a beard net. All of these will be provided for you. Occasionally, you will have to wear gloves as well. Wash your hands before putting on gloves. Gloves must be worn when team members are directly touching food contact packing materials. Replace your gloves if they get dirty or contaminated. You should not taste any product on the production floor. Any open bottles on the floor will still contain ozone, which could make you very sick. There's plenty of water in the break room if you are thirsty. Module 6, Allergens. You may be asking, why do we have to cover allergens in training if we only produce water? Well, some Niagara plants do produce allergens. However, the company cannot restrict what employees bring to work for lunch or a snack, so it is important to be mindful of what foods you may bring that have allergens. Our biggest concern is the Big 8 defined by the FDA: peanuts, tree nuts including coconuts, soy, eggs, milk, fish, shellfish, and wheat. These allergens can cause severe reactions and even death for some individuals. You should not store allergen and non-allergen ingredients together. It is very important to always wash your hands after eating and before returning to work. Allergen control is the responsibility of everyone at the plant. If you have a concern regarding allergen safety, let your supervisor know. Module 7, Foreign Material Control. There are certain rules and policies in place to prevent foreign materials from contaminating our product. Our wood control policy minimizes where wood is used in the manufacturing plant. Wood is forbidden in open product areas and around the manufacturing equipment. The only wooden material allowed on the production floor is neat, orderly pallets. Broken pallets and wood-handled tools are not permitted. The glass and brittle plastic policy consists of rules about where we can and cannot have glass and brittle plastics in the facility. There are 4 zones. Zone 1 is the bottle filler, Zone 2 is the packaging and production line, Zone 3 is the warehouse, and Zone 4 is the break rooms and office area. Zone 1 is the highest risk area for glass and brittle plastics to contaminate or damage products, and it should be inspected every shift. If you think you see any foreign material hazards in any product, stop the line and tell a supervisor. We filter our water multiple times before bottling to ensure the highest quality and purity. We have filters in our reverse osmosis chambers and filters in the line that the water pumps through. Module 8, Sanitation. Cleaning and sanitation are necessary to maintain the safety and quality of our products. Everyone at Niagara is responsible for sanitation. Sanitation has to occur frequently, and the task must be recorded and monitored in case the plant gets audited. This is our Master Sanitation Schedule, or MSS. It hangs on the outside of the mineral cage. This schedule splits up tasks by department and frequency. There are 2 types of chemicals: acids, which have a pH lower than 7, and bases, which have a pH higher than 7. Bases tend to be good at removing biofilm, and acidic chemicals tend to be good at removing mineral buildup. Acids and bases should not be stored together and should not be mixed together. You should not use any chemical you are not trained to use. All chemicals used for cleaning must be approved by the QA team and have a safety data sheet, or SDS. The SDS sheets are located outside the break room to the left and around the corner. Before bringing a new chemical into the plant, you should figure out if it is appropriate for product contact surface use or not, obtain a current SDS for it, and get QA's approval. Cleaning chemicals used on product contact surfaces must be FDA approved. If you move a chemical from one container to another, the secondary container must be appropriate and be labeled with the product name, its hazards, what line or department it belongs to, and whose tool cart it goes on. This is very important to chemical safety. To avoid contamination, we have a color code system for cleaning tools in the facility. White tools are for food contact surfaces only. They are used to clean things like filler heads and cap hoppers and must be thoroughly cleaned and sanitized on a set frequency. Yellow-colored tools are for allergen contact only. Red tools are for non-food contact surfaces only, such as the floor and walls. Blue and green tools are for recycling material handling, and black tools are only to be used on drains. The facility and production lines must be cleaned frequently, and waste must be disposed of on a regular basis. Module 9. Maintenance. Maintenance work can directly impact food safety since the product is handled almost 100% by machines. There are two types of maintenance: preventative and emergency. Preventative works to minimize or eliminate any chance of a malfunction, and emergency needs to be done when something has already gone wrong or broken. Both of these can impact food safety. To manage food safety in maintenance work, we have put in place the Food Contact Maintenance Policy. It is comprised of food safety rules that we have established for plants to follow while doing maintenance work on food contact equipment. Its main statement is that all maintenance procedures must be done in a sanitary manner. For example, always wear gloves and only use tools that have been cleaned with approved sanitizers for food contact surfaces. Another policy we use for maintenance is the Line Lubricant Policy. This is a set of guidelines on when and where to use lubricants near preforms and bottles. All lubricants used on the lines near caps, bottles, and preforms are food grade. This means they are FDA approved to be ingested in small amounts if some residue unintentionally contacts food. Even though our lubricants are food grade, we try to avoid any contact between product and lubricants. Lubricants must not be applied in a manner that can contaminate the cap or preform handling systems, or that they could come in contact where the consumer will put their mouth. In the conveyors where bottles are sealed already, you should avoid applying lubricant in a way that residue will come in contact with the neck or cap of the bottle. So what happens if you think you see a maintenance problem on the floor? We use our non-conforming equipment handling policy to determine how to identify and take action when equipment is not working. Upon deeming any piece of equipment as non-conforming, it must be removed from operation. Temporary repairs must be used to address the plant's immediate need until a work order is completed. Temporary repairs must have a permanent solution generated on a work order first, must be approved by QA, and have a CAPA, a Corrective Action Preventative Action form. The temporary repair also cannot compromise quality or safety of the finished product. After any maintenance work is completed, a pre-operation inspection needs to be done in order to make sure the line is ready to run again. This also makes sure the line is free of any lubes or tools that may be left over. There are also swabs that need to be done and documented to check for cleanliness before the line can run again. If you see any maintenance issues or have any concerns, talk to QA or a supervisor. Module 10. Pest Prevention. What is a pest? A pest is any insect or animal that naturally occur in the area that we do not want in our facility. They can carry disease and contaminate our product with dirt, hair, feathers, and droppings. However, since we produce food products, we cannot use chemicals or pesticides to take care of pests. So our best means to control pests is through prevention methods. If you see any pest activity, or if a shipment comes in with remnants of pest activity, such as hair or droppings, report it to QA or your supervisor. If you eat lunch outside, please throw your garbage and leftover food in the trash bins provided so as to not attract pests. Our facility has an 18-inch border around the inside and outside of the plant to prevent pests from nesting or trying to hide from predators, and we keep our doors and windows sealed at all times. Landscaping and plants are kept away from the exterior building structure, and there are bait traps on the inside and outside of the plant. We have 3 types of traps: tin cats and bug lights inside, and bait stations outside. They are all labeled and marked to be easily identified, and our pest control contractor inspects them twice a month. Under no circumstances should you touch or eat the bait. If you see an issue with a bait trap or bug light, tell QA or a supervisor and they will handle the problem. The roles you play in pest prevention are very important. Only eat in designated areas and clean up any spilled food or trash. Do not store open food containers or beverages in your locker, and do not leave any windows or doors open. Module 11. Food Defense and Food Fraud. Food fraud is the deliberate substitution, dilution, tampering, or misrepresentation of food or beverages for financial gain. Food fraud is a very harmful practice in the food industry. The consumers may feel cheated for what they paid for, and companies lose trust and brand loyalty. Food fraud also costs legitimate food suppliers about $49 billion each year. At Niagara, we always aim to give our customers exactly what they pay for. So how do we prevent food fraud?
Food defense is what we do to protect our product from intentional tampering caused by deliberate acts of sabotage, contamination, or terrorist-like incidents. All food manufacturing facilities are required by the FDA to have a food defense program in place to prevent intentional tampering and sabotage of products. Our food defense program includes outside and inside security, personnel security, and shipping and receiving security. Outside, we have good lighting at all times, our plant perimeter is monitored, our storage tanks are locked and monitored, our doors are self-locking, and all of our emergency exits have alarms and cannot be opened from the outside. Inside, our access to central controls are restricted. In-plant laboratory access is strictly controlled. All of our computer data systems are protected, and all of our entrances and exits are monitored. Personnel security makes sure that all the people who work here are who they say they are, and that nobody who isn't supposed to be here gets in. All visitors must sign in at the front desk, wear a name tag and blue hairnet, and be escorted by a Niagara employee. Also, all new hires are required to have a background check, and all employees must have fingerprint identification for entry. Shipping and receiving security makes sure that our product doesn't get tampered with when arriving at or leaving the facility. All outbound shipments are required to be sealed, and the seal number is documented on a bill of landing, or BOL. Any incoming shipments must have matching seals to their BOLs, and the loading dock must be secured for the trucks to dock and offload. Module 12, Storage and Transportation. Not all employees have access to all storage cages for the sake of food defense, but also because not all employees are trained on certain things that are in cages, like maintenance equipment or chemicals. However, general rules for chemical use must be provided to all employees. When dealing with chemicals and supplies, we use a process called FIFO, or first in, first out. This means whatever materials come in first must be used first, which helps materials not be wasted. There are also basic guidelines for shipping that all employees must be made aware of, even if they do not work in the shipping department. Firstly, always be cautious of open dock doors, since LGVs could be exiting at any time. Listen for the beeping sound and watch for flashing lights. Always walk closer to the walls and not the pallets. Never accept a trailer shipment that has defects such as missing seals, a strong odor, or any damages. Also, it is never acceptable to leave finished product outside in a trailer without proper ventilation. Now, let's go over the main points to remember from this video. Anytime anyone is on the production floor, they must be wearing the appropriate PPE. This includes visitors and employees in training. Wash your hands frequently. Make sure to keep up your GMPs at all times. The master sanitation schedule is a good key for keeping up on cleaning. It is located outside the mineral cage. Do not use chemicals that you are not trained to use, and always use an appropriate and labeled secondary container. If you see anyone you do not know, ask them who they are or tell a supervisor. Our CQPs are the reverse osmosis tanks, the bottle date code printer, spring water receiving, and the ozone injection site. We have 0 CCPs. Help prevent pests by keeping food in designated areas and cleaning up after yourself, and do not touch or eat the bait traps. Lastly, do not hesitate to ask questions or voice concerns. We care about your opinion here and want to make this a safe working environment for everyone. We are very glad to have you. Welcome to Niagara Plainfield.